I'm Vinny Politan. Great to have you with us tonight here on Closing Arguments. We're live at the Blue Ribbon Barbecue in Dedham, Massachusetts, the site of the Karen Reed murder trial. Today was day 2, and we've got a lot to get to. We're also going to talk about the latest in the Daybell case, Chad Daybell, the prophet. But Karen Reed arriving again today. Remember, this is different than any other case you've seen on court TV where an accused murderer, an accused cop killer is treated like a hero and a victim when she arrives in court. Supporters all wearing pink in support of Karen Reed. It's different. This case is just different. Karen Reed in court today, listening to some of the testimony. And today was an important day, I think, because they really took the jury to the scene as prosecutors try to lay out their case and try to prove that she took her car, put it in reverse, and purposely, with intent, ran her car over John O'Keefe to kill him. Let's take a listen to some of the biggest moments from today's testimony.
It appeared that Karen Reed was doing mouth-to-mouth on John O'Keefe.
You saw, I don't want to get too graphic, but you saw blood on her face?
Yes, I did.
You saw blood on his face?
That's correct.
Did you see Jennifer McCabe ever engage with John O'Keefe as he lay on the ground and assist in any life-saving measures? Did you witness that?
I don't recall.
But you do recall my client engaged?
Yes.
So in April of 2022, for the first time, you attributed the phrase, "This is my fault. I can't believe this happened," to my client, correct?
That's correct.
But nowhere in your official report did you say that, correct?
That's correct.
And nowhere in your interview with Trooper Proctor the next day did you say that?
That's correct.
You think that was a pretty important omission on your part?
It was an oversight.
You were being observant at the area of the body?
Yes.
And the area adjacent to the body?
Yes.
You never saw or otherwise observed or located a single piece of taillight material, did you?
No.
You certainly didn't see 45 pieces of broken plastic or taillight material, did you?
No.
During the time that you were on scene and you heard Karen Reed screaming and yelling in this distraught and hysterical manner, you never once heard her say, "I did it," correct?
I did not.
You never once heard her say, "It's my fault," correct?
I did not.
You never once heard her say, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," correct?
I did not.
At any point in time, either before or after the leaf blower was taken out by Lieutenant Gallagher, did you see 45 pieces of bright red, black, and clear plastic pieces scattered all over the scene?
I did not.
Did you find even or see even one piece of broken plastic?
I did not.
As I was ventilating, I was able to ask, did anybody see anything? What happened? And there was one individual that replied several times, "I hit him, I hit him." They seemed to be erratic. There was a lot going on in that scene. It did seem to be said over and over and at varying volumes. The individual that said, "I hit him, appeared to have some blood on her face, presumably for attempting CPR prior to our arrival.
How many times would you say that you've discussed this case and this incident with your fellow firefighters?
It's brought up around the station semi-frequently. However, being involved in it, we try to stay clear of it just because we are involved in it. The memories that I have and the ones that I'm bringing up, I don't believe that they've changed. You know, I've played them over in my head to the best of my ability, and I don't believe my story is swayed.
And he's not a police officer. He's not a police officer, he's a firefighter, saying what he heard. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Didn't give the name Karen Reed because he's not investigating the case, but someone with blood on their face. We've heard testimony that she had blood on her face. She was attempting to save John O'Keefe's life with CPR at that moment. So this case is about a lot of things. It's about the forensic evidence. It's about the relationship between Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. It's also about two families that are going through this trial right now. Obviously, the O'Keefes in the courtroom, the victim in this case, but also Karen Reed's family. They've been in court also. Her parents have been there. They were there yesterday, they were there today, and my guess is they'll be there every day. Their daughter's on trial for her life. So after court today, Matt Johnson had an opportunity to speak with Karen Reed's parents. Let's take a listen.
I'm very confident, right? Very good.
How's Karen doing?
She's doing great. She's strong. She's strong. She knows the truth.
What are you waiting for in the trial? What piece of evidence to come out?
Where do I start? You know, where do you want me to start? There's so much evidence that is so exculpatory to my daughter. I mean, I just sit and I watch, and you hear what I hear. I mean, I don't get any previews, you know, so, but very encouraged, very much encouraged.
Everybody's close together in the courtroom. There are people on different sides. Is that awkward?
It was at first. It felt
So long as I'm near my daughter and, and her
we
team.
hear everything better now.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the sound is better because they're standing right there when they're questioning. It's nice, yeah. We like it better.
What testimony today stood out to you the most?
Well, I mean, I think it's the cross from Alan Jackson for the two crosses he did. It was just so enlightening, and just, you know, getting in there and creating, you know, some doubt in terms of the memory of those folks, questioning protocols or procedures that were or were not followed. So, I mean, to me, it's an education, and I'm thankful that we have both, you know, Attorney Alan Jackson and David Dinetti and Liza Living. I've got to run.
Yes. Do you think she'll testify?
My daughter? That's entirely up to her and her lawyers.
Got to throw that last question in. You always have to do it. That's Matt Johnson interviewing Karen Reed's parents. But there's some confidence there. So let's talk about this. Let's bring in my guest. Joining me again tonight, to my left, Rick Grundy, attorney here in Massachusetts, former prosecutor in the same courthouse, and Peter Ellikin, criminal defense attorney, joining us as well. Great to see you guys tonight. Thanks for being here.
Terrific to
I
be
told you
here.
we were going to feed you tonight, so I hope they at least offered you something here at the Blue Ribbon Barbecue in Dedham. Okay. Should Karen Reed's parents feel good tonight? Should they be feeling good?
Yes, I think that what I saw today was like a master class in cross-examination, and I think that the defense actually scored a lot of points. They really made the best of everything. First of all, obviously the most tough bit of evidence against her in this whole case is that she kind of did these self-incriminating, almost confessions.
We call it a confession. When someone says, I did it, that is called a confession.
Thank you for this education. Yeah. But anyway, they were able to kind of knock holes into that. For example, the police officer who complained that she did all this confession to him, and then in cross-examination they said, but you had a police report afterwards and you wrote it down. Didn't you? And no, I didn't. It was an oversight. And how could you, if you see a dead body, you're a police officer, you see a dead body, you don't, and the person confesses to you, wouldn't you write that in a police report? I mean, that was one thing. The other thing that they scored on, and they scored a lot, but one of them was that obviously one of the toughest bits of evidence against her is the idea that the prosecution keeps claiming, oh, when she hit him with the car, there was parts of the taillight all over the place. They were able to say to both police officers, did you see anything on the ground when she was there? And you had a leaf blower there. And of course, that was really backed up what the defense has been saying all along, that they inspected that ground a couple of times. Then the police took that car away, put it in inventory. After a few hours, they come back, and suddenly there's 45 pieces all over. The police officers were even seeing bits of it while they're driving by. And so again and again, they got backed up that it was really shoddy police work also, that they got wrong addresses, wrong time when the police are there. There's a body outside of a house there, and they don't even walk into the house.
All right, we'll get to that in a second, but let's Rick, your thoughts. Should Karen Reed's parents be feeling good today? Should Karen Reed be feeling good? Because we heard evidence from a firefighter about a confession.
So, first off, just picking up on something that Peter was talking about, I think one thing that the prosecution should have done is they should have established early on the protocol in a homicide investigation, that the state police, each district attorney's office has state police assigned to them. They're in their office. By statute, they have the role of taking the lead in any homicide investigation. They work with the town, but the town is answerable to the state police.
So it's not that the town is compromised, you bring in the state police, like in some jurisdictions. Here it's automatic that they come in.
Correct. And those officers that are on the scene are holding the scene for the purposes of crime scene investigation specialists to come out. And you want the jury to know that before those people go on the stand, that these are not investigators. And if you feel, I don't like to put a lot of police officers on the stand in a case, but if you have to, I want them to be prepared to say, I'm not an investigator. I was there waiting for the crime scene unit to get there and to maintain the sanctity of the scene. So no, I'm not looking for little pieces and fragments. With respect to the firefighter, police officers will call firefighters, oh, here come the angels, because people love firefighters.
Right.
They do great things. They're always there to help. They don't arrest people, okay? So I think he was a great witness individually. He starts out good by being a firefighter, not being there for the purpose of accusing anyone or looking for evidence to convict somebody. And he held strong to that incriminating statement. So I think, can Karen Reed's parents feel well? It's going according to their plan, I think.
Okay.
So there's something to feel good. But the fact that a firefighter, an incredible witness...
It's an alleged confession.
Yeah.
Like to a firefighter. Like in the moment, before there's any talk of a conspiracy, before there's any talk of murder charges, I did it. What did you think of her demeanor at the scene?
That didn't bother me so much. The fact that they said she's hysterical, she's crying, she's shouting out things. They finally got her medicated. They sectioned her, which in this state means that they brought her to a hospital. And so the fact that you're that upset and hysterical when a loved one you find dead in front of you, I don't think that really is scoring points against her. And
no, I don't think so either. I think that's good for her, because what's the first thing that happens in other murder trials that we've covered on Court TV, you guys have been involved in, by the way, is when someone isn't broken up, right? The husband is not crying when his spouse has died. That's the first thing we talk about. Look at him. He's not even saying. But she was completely beside herself.
Yeah, which made sense. And the other two women were supposedly just totally composed, and they were fine from what we heard. Is that a problem,
Rick? Is that a problem for the prosecutors?
I don't think it's a problem. I think it can be argued either way. She's hysterical because the weight of what's coming down upon her is becoming a realization. They're going to try and hook that up to the you'll never hear from me again. And obviously, as Peter says, on the other side of it, they're going to say it's the emotion, because she's learning all of this for the first time.
All right, Peter, let's get back to what you were about to jump into, which I think is a big part of today and this trial. What is the scene here? Is the scene the lawn where the body is found, where someone said, I did it, who was driving a car? Or is the scene the lawn and the house?
I would say absolutely the lawn and the house, because even if somebody says, I did it, I'd be looking at that person very, very seriously. But I want to do a complete, total investigation. And you've probably seen the body of work and research we've seen about false confessions. I mean, we've seen that incredible amount.
But usually a false confession involves, like, police doing something to trick someone into a confession, or or taking advantage of someone who's young or someone who's old. That's where I've seen it.
That is true, but people often babble out things. I mean, we've just seen so many cases recently with DNA. We find that a murderer who confessed to the murder, well, actually was not a murderer, and they proved their factual innocence. So it seems very counterintuitive, though. I mean, you couldn't get me to admit to a murder if I didn't do it. That makes no sense. People do it all the time.
I know, we've seen false confession. Rick, are you bothered by the fact that they didn't go inside the house?
I think you got to take this whole thing in context. You know, there's a couple of pictures that you keep showing. One of them is the actual driveway that leads right up to the house. That is not where the body was. The body was way off to the side. So I wish that the Commonwealth had done a better job in laying the scene out beforehand, that at that time, there in place, there wasn't at least a burning need to get into that house. They had what they thought was credible statements that he never made it into the house, and they had what they believed to be a credible statement that she had hit him.
I did it.
The follow-up, that's another question.
All right. Our guests are staying, not going anywhere, even if they want to go get some of this barbecue here at Blue Ribbon in downtown Dedham. When we come back, we're going to focus on John O'Keefe's family.
This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it. It's a controversial case that's divided a community.
Karen Reed is accused of murdering her police officer boyfriend.
Prosecutors say she ran him over on purpose and left him to die in the cold.
But Reed claims that she's being framed.
It smells suspicious.
After years of legal fireworks, will the truth finally be revealed?
The end game is to figure out who killed John O'Keefe and hold these people responsible.
The killer or cover-up murder trial. Live coverage weekday mornings, only on Court TV.
Good luck, Alan. Thank you, my friend. Good luck, Aaron.
We got you, Karen.
Karen, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling confident? Oh, I love you, Karen.
This is probably the greatest evidence of how this trial is different. When Karen Reed arrives at the courthouse, it's a hero's welcome from her supporters, all wearing pink because they can't have signs in front of the courthouse. But she's accused of murdering a police officer. And she has supporters, believe she's framed, but she has supporters, people who are there giving her the emotional support and physically cheering her on. Now, to understand how different this trial is, now I want to show you the victim's parents arriving for court. Mr. and Mrs. O'Keefe. There is silence. There is no one there, even helping them up the stairs. And that's what this case, to me, that tells the story of this case better than I ever could. That contrast. One is an accused murder, the other, their son is dead, and they show up to silence by themselves. I also noticed the O'Keefes, because you can see them from the camera during the opening statements, and you can see how difficult this is. Whatever you think of this case, whatever you think happened here, the bottom line is John O'Keefe is dead, and mom and dad are inside that courtroom, and it's tough.
We start with John O'Keefe. John O'Keefe grew up in Braintree. He was 46 years old when he passed. He was the son of John O'Keefe Jr. and Margaret or Peggy O'Keefe. He was a brother to Paul O'Keefe and to his sister Kristen Furbish. Now in 2013, Kristen unfortunately, tragically passed away, succumbing to cancer in November of 2013. Within months of that, Mr. O'Keefe's brother-in-law and Kristen's husband, Stephen, passed away as well. Now, initially, when John O'Keefe's sister passed away, sort of the initial plan for that situation was that John O'Keefe was going to move in with Stephen Forbush and the kids and assist as far as raising them. And then when Stephen passed away a few months after his wife, before those plans could be finalized, John O'Keefe then moved in with his niece and nephew and assumed the parental role and assumed legal guardianship with respect to both of those children.
You know, moments like this are so heartbreaking and bring the reality of what has happened here. So mom and dad lost their child. It was the second child they lost. The third child testified, and his wife testified as well. So more members of the O'Keefe family being impacted by all this. Let's take a look.
You described to the jury sort of what you saw as far as your brother was concerned.
I mean, he was pretty banged up. He had his eyes had swelled up. He had a breathing tube in, well, the mask anyway. Blood come down his nose, blood come down his mouth. But what really stood out to me was, you know, the eyes. It was almost as if like there were ping pong balls under his eyelids. They were that swollen.
Now, in addition to what you observed as far as his eyes, what, if any, other sort of injuries did you observe on any other part of your brother's body?
I noticed some markings on his arm.
I woke up to my husband on the phone with his mother saying he's going to be okay, he's going to be okay. And they got off the phone and I said, what happened? What's going on? And he said they found Johnny in the snow this morning.
And after that phone call, what is it that your husband Paul did?
He's pacing around and he goes to the bathroom to brush his teeth because he said that he was going to drive to the hospital. When Paul was brushing his teeth, I said to him, where's Karen? Where is she? Is she okay? And I called her and I could hear the phone pick up and she didn't say hello. I just said, Karen, what the hell is going on? And she just yelled back in the phone, John's dead.
Okay, I want to bring back in my guests, Rick Grundy and Peter Ellikin. Peter, I want to start with you because I recently served on a jury. It wasn't a criminal case, medical malpractice, but the plaintiff, who's like a victim in the case, he and his family testified. I'm in the jury box. I've been covering these things for two decades. I felt so bad for that plaintiff. I wanted to do something for that plaintiff. That connection is real. And I've got to believe that's what this jury might be feeling here, too.
Right. This is such a heartbreaker seeing the family like this. However, let's be clear. This is not nobody's been knocking the victim here. Everybody's really been.
I know, but you want to bring them justice. Yeah. You don't want to let them down.
Right, but it's not clear. The argument would be that if you convict the wrong person, then you create a new victim, and then the person who really committed the crime goes free. So I think that's the difference here. I mean, as far as the crowds cheering for Ms. Reed, this is almost unprecedented, as you've been saying. I mean, normally when I see demonstrators around a courthouse, 98% of the time, because they hate the guts of the person who's being charged. I mean, we've had other highly publicized cases. I mean, look, the Boston Marathon bombers trial here. But there was no debate. Everybody hated his guts.
And he did.
And there was no argument about he was not guilty. It was a question, does he get the death penalty or does he get life, forever in a maximum security place? And I think the difference here in this case, and let's say another highly publicized case like Boston Marathon, is that there really has been a lot of publicity and evidence coming out, whether it's true or not, that really does seem to back Ms. Reed on this, and she may actually be factually innocent. And I think that's where you get the cheers and the crowds. It's different than so many other.
Rick?
You don't, as a prosecutor, you don't stand up in front of the jury unless you are 100% convinced that you have the right individual and you're committed to pushing your case forward to a conviction. So if I'm in that position and I'm doing that opening that we saw, I step over to the rail. I put my hand on the rail and I say, John O'Keefe, mother. Because I want them to know that the parents here are the victims and that they are supporting my prosecution.
By the way, in that case, I was an alternate, and they found for the defense. They didn't find for the plaintiff. If I was on that jury, may have been a different story. May have been, I mean, it just, have either of you served on a jury ever?
No, every time I get chosen and I'm sitting in the box, somehow I get knocked out in the last minute.
It's a different experience.
All they have to do is hear criminal defense attorney.
I'm telling you, it's a different. It was so much more emotional than I thought it was going to be. It really was. It was completely different. Okay, so what does the defense have to say about the O'Keefes? Do they say anything about them? Do they acknowledge their grief? Is there anything like that, or completely just focus on your case, your client, and sort of ignore that issue?
Oh, yeah, I would do everything I could to put my arms around and embrace them, maybe not physically, but yes, you want to show that this is not a blame the victim defense as so many cases are. We know he's really the bad guy, and everybody's united in saying he's a wonderful, you know.
Let me ask you this before I run out of time. I only have like 15 seconds. As we stand here after day 2, who do you think's up, prosecution or defense so far?
Even.
Even.
Defense.
Defense is up. Wow.
The defense is up by virtue of their promises and presentation. But we're here on TV. We're anxious. We want to get the ball rolling. They say it's going to go 2 months.
All right. Rick Grundy, Peter Elkin, 2 months. I'll be back for more barbecue. Thanks so much. Up next, Doomsday Prophet Chad Daybell facing the death penalty. Tonight, we examine the most compelling evidence with Lori Daybell's uncle.
Defendant is photographed laughing and dancing on a beach in Hawaii at his wedding. It's Lori Vallow, a woman who was his mistress and the mother of the children buried in the graves on his property. 3 dead bodies. His desire for sex, money, and power led him to pursue those ambitions.
All right, folks. This prosecutor absolutely nailed the theme of the Doomsday Prophet Chad Daybell's trial. And it's the same theme from Lori Daybell's trial. It's about sex, money, and power. It always comes back to those things because these two were hot to trot. They couldn't wait to get their hands on the insurance money, and they wanted to lead the 144,000 and have some level of power over others. And for Chad Daybell, this was a big thrill for this guy. He was a grave digger and struggling author before all of this happened. Chad Daybell inside the courtroom. I want to take a moment to go through some of the bigger moments and evidence in this case. And let's begin with the discovery of JJ and Tyler.
There was only a few of us at a time that could work because of the area, but also because of the smell. We had to take turns digging because we were on our hands and knees and the smell was so bad that we could only work for a few minutes before somebody else had to take turns, get on their hands and knees and start digging by hand.
And you said the smell. What did it smell like?
Decomposing body. We ended up digging down and started to uncover burnt pieces of flesh, charred bone, fatty tissue, just, and I apologize for lack of better words, but globs of burnt flesh starting to protrude through the dirt. They removed all the soil on top of this small body that was wrapped in completely black plastic. I testified that it appeared to take the shape of a small body in black plastic. And this is what we saw here. It's probably a 4x2 grave, and I'm guessing that those measurements started to take the shape of a small body, and then I have different pieces of duct tape throughout the black plastic.
I'll never forget the day when we found out what was in Chad Daybell's backyard. This is sick, sick stuff. What happened to the remains of these two children? Let me bring in our guest. Joining us tonight, Lori Vallow Daybell's uncle. He's the co-author of the book with Adam Cox, his other nephew, Lori's Lies and Family Ties, and the co-host of the podcast, Tylee and JJ Silver Lining. Rex Connor back with us. Rex, thank you so much for joining us. To me, it comes back to this a lot, and I'm sure you talk about this a lot on your podcast. JJ and Tylee, what happened to these two children, and this man allowed that to happen in his backyard?
Allowed it, maybe even participated. Not all the evidence is in, or not all the evidence has been laid out.
So when you talk about participating, are you under the belief that he could have potentially been there at the time their lives were taken, or when their remains were discarded and buried?
Yes to both of those, and let me emphasize when you said the belief. I have no evidence, nothing to back it up, but I do believe there are other people involved, and I believe he was likely there also. Whether or not he was, I hope the outcome of the trial is the same, because he was very involved in the planning and orchestrating of this tragedy.
Yeah, we referred to him always as the prophet, right? The leader. And it seems we've heard some evidence that Lori may not have been the only woman that he sought, which is very common with cult leaders. Surround themselves with women and get whatever they can get from these women. I want to play another important moment from this case. This is the testimony from Sergeant Wheeler at the moment that he's first arrested and he's in the police car, and he speaks with his daughter, Emma. Let's take a look.
Stuff just saying, will you help me? My mom died. I'm pretty sure. Will you help me? My dad's in jail.
I'm not coming back. So all that stuff that's in the baby room is Lori's and mine. Take that mattress from upstairs, I guess. Do what you want. Put the books back on the shelf. We're going to make it through.
Detective Wheeler, I just want to reiterate, we just heard that comment about he's not likely going to be out. At that point in time, you had not formally put him under arrest. Is that right?
Aside from placing him in handcuffs and detaining him, no.
But you didn't advise him of potential charges or anything like that at that point?
No.
This is a problem. This is an absolute problem. Rex, I look at that, the way he's having that conversation, I'm not coming back. Because he knows. He knows what they did. He knows what's in his backyard. It's over.
Well, I believe he's the opposite of being a prophet, but I hope that one prophecy holds true, that he doesn't come back from it.
And as we look at, the roles of everyone, right? The big three, obviously, being Chad Daybell, the prophet, his girlfriend, then who became his wife, your niece, Lori, and then your nephew, Alex Cox, Lori's brother, as the big three. Now, you've said a couple times you think other people are involved. Do you think it goes beyond those three potentially? We're not naming any names here, but do you believe it goes beyond? It could go beyond those three who knew what was happening?
Yes, I believe that. I believe there are other people involved enough to know what was going on. I don't know if they knew about the children's murders, but I believe there's enough of a ritualistic flavor to this to suspect at least that these were ritualistic killings, which means other people would be involved. And I hope they are discovered and they meet the justice that they deserve also.
Do you think if your nephew, Alex Cox, was alive, do you think he would have cooperated? Do you think he would have helped investigators and perhaps taken a deal against Chad and Lori?
Yeah, this is a popular topic on our podcast because Adam and I were both close to Alex, of course, before he converted to Lori's alternative reality, I'll call it. And if Alex, as it seemed, was getting a conscience there towards the end, or realizing that he was just being the fall guy, as it sounds like he is realizing, knowing Alex the way Adam and I do, we know he would have just sung like a little birdie and all of us would know every detail. That's just the type of person he was. When he did something wrong, he would tell everyone about it. And in fact, if anyone around him did anything wrong, he would tell people about it. But I think we would know absolutely everything, and which may be the reason for which he's not with us anymore.
We have about 20 seconds left here. What has been the biggest surprise so far in the trial of Chad Daybell?
For me, the biggest disgusting surprise is that he would have his children testify for him and drag them through that terrible ordeal.
Rex Connor, Lori's Lies and Family Ties, the book, Tylee and JJ Silver Linings, the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am sure we will speak again.
I'll look forward to it.
Up next.
Thank you.
Heartbreak in New Jersey as the mother of a 6-year-old boy allegedly murdered by his father takes the stand. On the next episode of Accomplice to Murder.
She doesn't want you to call the police, but she wants you to kill her husband.
Jennifer essentially admitted that she had manipulated her former high school sweetheart into murder.
Is this all one big role play?
None of this is normal.
I know the manipulation. She did the same exact thing to me.
If I didn't act, Jennifer was gonna die that day.
Accomplice to Murder with Vanny Politan. All new episode, Sunday night, 8/7 Central.
Only on Court TV.
Look, so guys, this is my mommy, and you're...
That's little Corey Micholo, 6 years old, from New Jersey. You can see a vibrant young man, kid. He's not alive. His life was taken. His father is accused of abusing him to death. That's a picture of his father. He's on trial, brand new case on Court TV. Christopher Gregor is his name. He was inside the courtroom today. A lot happening in this case, an extremely emotional case. And let's take a listen to the opening statements.
Corey Travis Michelo. He liked the solar system. He liked to play outside. His mom describes him as silly and happy. Corey was 6 on April 2nd, 2021, when his father murdered him. His father is this defendant, Christopher Gregor. Corey was alive and well at 9 a.m. when he was with his mom, and he was gone by 5:03 p.m. after only being with his father, this defendant. The state submits that after you've heard and seen all of the evidence in this case, you will be firmly convinced that this defendant is guilty of abuse and murder. Because healthy 6-year-olds don't just die during the course of a business day, and neither did Corey Michelo.
In August of 2017, Christopher Gregor was studying for his master's degree at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Maryland. And he was also employed by Urban Teachers, which was a company that employed people to teach in urban areas. When he found out he was being sued for child support for a child he had never met, nor did he know he fathered. And that's where our story begins. At some point, you're going to see Christopher go over to that treadmill and speed it up. And you're going to see Corey fall. And you're going to see him pick that boy up 6 times. And 6 times put him back on the treadmill. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to like him. And I don't care if you like him. When you see that video, you're going to be horrified. You're going to be mortified. But I'm telling you right now that the evidence you're going to see of Corey's death had absolutely nothing to do with that treadmill.
Oh, video's horrific. Absolutely horrific. Yeah, we don't like him. We hate him. He's no father. Corey's mom testified today. Let's take a listen.
At 9:48 a.m., I said, "Stop being so cocky. If I were you, I definitely wouldn't be."
And then what did the defendant respond?
He said, "Yes, I am a ludicrous charge by you that when you went to court yesterday was completely thrown out and disregarded."
And can you continue with his next message?
He said, "Shows how much evidence there is, doesn't it? You're going to be in for a rude awakening today."
Here is the video. You're going to hate him. First of all, he's 6 years old. What is he doing on the tread? Oh. Oh, yeah. Inexplicable, unforgivable, ridiculous. He's 6 years old. Who does this guy think he is? He's not a father. He's not a dad. Dads don't do that. Animals do that. Animals do. And yeah, his attorney, 100% right. I hate this guy. I absolutely hate this man. Let's see if prosecutors can prove this case. That will continue on Court TV. New Jersey, my home state, versus Christopher Gregor. The cross-examination of Corey's mom continues tomorrow. Okay, speaking of children, before we go tonight, please take a moment to take a look at your television screens. We have a missing child. This is Malaya Hunt. Malaya missing out of Hickory, North Carolina since April 28, 17 years old. If you see Malaya, pick up the phone, make the call. You can call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Hickory Police Department in North Carolina. That phone number is on the screen. Let's see if we can get Malaya to a safe place tonight. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you for watching. Have a great night. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.